Hello, good afternoon, Taqi. How are you today?
Hi, Professor. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for agreeing to continue our conversation that we started last week. Today is Sunday, April 2nd. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon, and we'll take about an hour. I'll set my timer here so we don't go over. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours about your experiences, but we'll limit it to about 1 hour. And I thought we could begin where we left off in the last interview, but just to give a quick overview of beginning an introduction here to anyone who's pulling up this interview and watching it. I'll introduce you. Taqi Daryabi is originally from Ghazni, Afghanistan, and now lives in Silver Spring, Maryland. He moved to the United States in 2021. He speaks Dari, Persian, and English. He was a student at MC in the spring of 2022, and today lives with his brother and works as a journalist at an Afghan news organization. He also works at the Cultural Arts Center of Montgomery College on the Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus. And in his spare time, enjoys taking long walks in Rock Creek Park and taking photographs. We were just talking about the cherry blossoms, and so I'm excited to see the photographs you took. So let me start at the beginning. Could you please tell me your full name?
My full name is Muhammad Taqi Daryabi.
Great. And do I have permission to record this interview?
Sure, you do.
Thank you. So in our last conversation, we left off talking about one of my favorite topics, which is literature. And you were telling me that you discovered the library in Kabul and that you began reading books by Tolstoy, by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, by other writers from around the world. Were you reading those books in Persian?
Yes.
Okay. And I was really struck by that. It made me want to know more about the library there. Is the library free to anyone? How does it work there?
Actually, I started reading books. It was not a public library. It was at the school that I transferred from the governmental school to the private school. It was the library of the private school.
I see.
There, once I moved there, I realized that other students are reading, studying books, and there's so much activity. So that affected me. So the environment affected me, and I started reading too. At the first, I was reading short stories. There was a collection of I don't remember the author of that collection, but it was about 60 books. Wow. 60 books, and I started with that. So that was a stories.
Could you, I was struck by your specific mention of the book Anna Karenina, right, which is the book that I love too. Could you tell me what you found particularly interesting or meaningful about this particular book?
Actually, I'm not that kind of person. In Afghanistan, most of the people that are reading or studying books, they're remembering some of the quotes from the book. But that's not how I am. When I'm reading a book, that affects my life. When I read the Anna Karenina, it is a big book with a long story. It tells you about the society of a different society, a different people, how they communicate, how they interact with each other, and how the way that they're talking to each other, the way that they're communicating each other, the society, how is going, what's going on in the society, how is the situation of the people. That's a Riemann, but in Riemann, the story of people is the author is telling the story of a society, a people.
Yeah, a study of a society, of a particular culture and time.
Yeah, the way that the people at that book communicate with each other, that affected the most.
The way the people were communicating with each other?
Yes.
Interesting.
There was the book's talking. Anna Karenina is a lady, the character. She's a character, and she's in love with someone. I don't remember.
Count
Yeah.
Vronsky.
Right, Conranti. So she's in love with her, but they both love each other so much. But they have other businesses in their life that they cannot forget them and just stuck to their life. So I was too young. I think that that book was too early for me to read, but I read it.
Maybe you will reread it in English now.
I will. I love that book. I love to read it for a couple of times again. So because I found that book lovely and so good, because the author Tolstoy, he's my somehow, what should I say? He's a beautiful person. He's a good person to me. So I love to read his books again. Especially there is another book that I didn't read yet. It's about his name is War and Peace. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I haven't read that book, but I will read that in English first. After that, I will read Anna Karenina again. So
War and Peace is very ambitious. That's a long one. So you will learn a lot when you read that one. You also mentioned really being moved by the works of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. You mentioned, I remember Love in the Time of Cholera. So it seems like at this time in your life, you were really attracted to these love stories. And I wonder if that connected in a way to your situation and your relationship at that time.
yeah, of course that affected myself as well. I mean, connected to my own life as well. For example, the 100 Years of London is
100 Years of Solitude is the title in English. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
When I read that book, on that time, I felt the same. I mean, I'm still alone. I'm not that kind of person who could communicate with other people very well. I can communicate, but I spend most of my time alone. So that book,
the idea of solitude spoke to you.
right? Yeah, that book spoke to me a lot. That's why I bring that book with me here. Oh, sorry, I forgot last week you told me that if I could bring my books here and show you, but
no, that's okay. No worries. But I think it's really beautiful that when you were faced with this very difficult time in your life and you had to choose what to bring, I find it very interesting that you chose to bring that book with you, because I imagine you had to very quickly decide what to bring and you had a limited amount of things you could bring. The fact that you chose to bring books says a lot, I think, about your love of literature. And tell me more about that, how you had to choose which books to bring with you.
One of the books is the Rumi's book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in love with the Rumi's poets.
Rumi's poetry is amazing. Yes.
Yeah, that's one of those books that I brought, and the other one is the Gabriel Garcia's books, and the other one is I don't remember the name of the author. But it's called Nation of Love, something like that in English.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about that, but it's in Persian. It's Millet Ishq. It's talking about love and love relationships. So, and the other book I think I brought 4 or 5. I couldn't bring all of those books that I had. I had a lot of books in Kabul. I had my own library.
Oh.
that was a lot, so for me to bring here, but I brought 4 to 5 Persian books. And why I decided to bring those books is that books are always precious to me. One of my best hobbies in Afghanistan was reading books and literatures and Roman. So some of those books that affected my life, that's why they were precious to me, and I brought them with me, keep them.
Sometimes when
Yeah,
we're
for
having difficult experiences and we read about other people and other times and places who've had the same difficult experiences, it's somehow helpful to know that.
exactly. Reading books can help you. For example, when you read literatures, it talks about different situations, difficult situation, from difficult to happy situations, and how people are finding solutions for some of the problems in society, or maybe in their own life, in their personal life. So it can help you to learn something from those stories. And I learned a lot. It helped me to grow up more than my age. Most of the people are saying that you're older than what you're looking.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope that you will have a chance to go to the library at Montgomery College and continue your love of reading. There's
I I went there for 2 or 3 times. I took some books,
Okay.
but when I brought them to home and I started to read them, I just read it 3 to 5 pages, because it is the first years of living in the United States, and that's hard for me to handle it and find more time to read.
I understand that. I think it's really hard to read in a second language as well. It's not the
Right,
effortless experience of reading in a first language. It's really challenging.
right.
Um,
It needs more time.
but you
That
will. You will get there. I have no doubt.
I
I
hope.
know that you worked and work in journalism,
Yeah,
and I understand that when you were working as a journalist in Afghanistan, you covered a demonstration related about to women's rights. Was it a demonstration by women in reaction to what was happening with the Taliban?
yeah. That was a demonstration by women.
What
There
year
was
was that?
sorry.
What year was that?
It was 2021, 2021 after
Okay.
the COP. It was in September. September 8th. Yeah. Uh, Kabul followed at 15 August 15. And after the Kabul fall, we stayed at our office without doing anything special for a long time, and that made me tired. And I was thinking that we are journalists and we are a media, we are a news organization. Why should we stay here and not doing anything about what's happening outside the office and the city with the people, Taliban? This is the time for us to work, and we should see if what is the behavior of the Taliban. What will they do with us if we go out and work? Maybe they're now maybe the government was collapsed, but we were not the government. We were the people. We were the media. We were the news organizations, and our job. In my heart, I felt that we should continue. Whatever happened, we should continue. And On that day, on September 8th, I told my colleague, Nemat Nahdi, that let's go. There's a demonstration in all over the city and we can cover this part of the city. So let's take the camera and other materials that we needed, and let's go to one of those places that women are demonstrating. He was not agreeing with me. He was afraid, and he was saying that no, let's not. Let's stay at the office. And I told him that okay, if you don't want, I can go alone. But he came with me, and we went to the Kortechar Kabul. There was women was demonstrating. One of the places that women decided to demonstrate was there because there was a police station.
Could you repeat the name of the place in Kabul where you went? I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
Kortechar.
Okay, is this a square?
No, it's not a square. It's the name of that place, like example, like Solar Spring, something like that.
Okay, like a neighborhood.
Yeah. So we went there, and the women decided to demonstrate in front of the police station that was taken by the Taliban and their army. Their armies were there. A lot of them were there, and we went there. Once the demonstration started, we took our camera and started to make some photos and to take some video for the report that we were thinking to make it. But unfortunately, after 2 or 5 minutes, one of the Taliban members, their army, came to me and asked me to turn off the camera and not filming the demonstration. They were telling me that you're not allowed to film this. You should not do this. And I asked them that why? This is my job. I'm a journalist and I should film this. This is what we're looking for. How long should we stay in our office and not film what's going on in the city? And they took me to the police station. When they took me to the police station, on the way, I was thinking that they might want to talk with me, or they might want to just keep me there for some time until the demonstration ended. But when we get in with one of those Taliban members, I saw that they're torturing someone in a room, and I got afraid. I got shocked, and I thought that this is gonna happen to me as well, and it happened. The 8 to 10 people, 8 to 10 member of the Taliban, they surrounded me and started hitting me with whatever they had in their hand. And they tortured me for 15 minutes like that until I lost, what do you say?
Consciousness?
Yeah, I lost my conscience.
The whole word.
Yeah. And after that, they took me to a room where they were keeping the other people who were arrested by them. And I spent 3 hours, I think, more than 3 hours into that room. And I can't forget that day, especially those 3 to 4 hours, because I can't explain how was my situation, but I was close to die. It was close to maybe they were. I was just feeling happy that I was not shot by them, but I was not.
Taqi, thank you for sharing that. I know that was very hard to talk about, and I'm just so grateful that you told me about that experience. I'm very sorry for what you went through. After that happened, you must have realized that life would be completely different for you after the Taliban returned.
Exactly. It was my first time that I lived under the Taliban government. I mean, the Taliban was the governor.
In a way, you lived in, when you were growing up in Taliban, I'm sorry, you were growing up in a time after the Taliban and then before the Taliban. It was like this period of time that was unique in a way, I think, in Afghanistan. And to see the Taliban return, it was a shock to us in America. It must have been a great shock to you. And your world must have changed completely.
Exactly. I was hopeful before that event. I was hopeful before that did that we can still continue our job, we can still work, we can still live in this society, and we are free to do whatever we want. But on that day, on those 3 to 4 hours, I was just shocked, and I lost all the hopes that I had in my heart. All the thoughts that I had in my mind, they were lost.
How did you then, what happened that led you to come to the United States after that day? Like how much time passed and how did you get here?
It took about 1 month, yeah, close to 1 month. I left Kabul on October 3, a month later after that event. But before coming to the United States, we went to Qatar. We spent 40 days, I think, 40 days. There, we stayed in an army camp called CAS. I don't know what's that, but it was the American military camp in Qatar, and we spent all 40 days there. And after that, we came to the United States on November 14. We arrived in Philadelphia airport, and we moved to one of the army camp in Virginia called Fort Pickett camp, yeah. And we spent about 2 weeks there. And we left the camp on December 2. Yeah, on December 2, we left the camp and we went to one of our friends' home here in Virginia. And we were there for 3 to 5 days, I think, yeah. Something, I don't remember exactly. Somehow like that. And we came to Maryland on December 8. I'm not sure, yeah. We came to Maryland in Silver Spring, and our friends rent an apartment before we left the camp. Our friends in Maryland, they find an apartment for us, and they rented it. We came to here.
Which organization helped you get to the United States?
USAIP, United States some of the USIP, yeah. United States Institute of Peace, something like that, yeah. An Institute for Peace, yeah.
Okay, and were you able to come with some of your brothers, some of your family members? Did they come with you?
Yeah. 2 of my brothers, one of them is married and has family. He has 3 children and his wife. We came here together.
And so you had to very quickly say goodbye to some family members there. You come from a very big family.
Yeah, I just heard about that on the night of October 2. October 2 night. And I just heard that we're going to, our flight is tomorrow.
Wow.
We only had 10 to 12 hours to spend time with our family members and say goodbye. And all the family members are in Pakistan right now. And I hope we could find a way to bring them here too, because,
I hope so too. When you only have 10 hours to prepare to leave your country, I can only imagine how incredibly stressful that must have been for you. And how did you decide what to bring with you, and what thoughts were going through your mind as you thought, I have 10 hours to prepare for this trip? What was going through your mind?
all the important documents that I had, those 3 to 4 books and some clothes, and my laptop, and as well also a camera. The camera that I was filming the protest on that day is with me right now. It's right here. I bring this
Wow.
camera. So those things that were important, and those things that was important, and other things I just told my family that you can throw them out or give them to others that need them. Or there was other things that I wanted them to burn, because I thought that I won't need it. I won't need them in the United States, and they will be dangerous to my family. They will make their safety. They will make them unsafe if they don't burn them or throw them out. So yeah, some clothes, books, camera, laptop, and the documents, the educational documents, like the document that the certificate of school graduation, and
Right. Before you got here, I imagine you had some ideas in your head about what the United States was like. And then you got here, and I imagine it might have been different than what you had thought it would be. Is that safe to say that your experience here has been different than what you imagined life in America to be like? Or was it similar?
No, it is different, but like some of the problems that other people have, I don't have, because like most of the Afghans that arrive to the United States, they're not familiar with the culture of the United States and the people, and the way the people live here. But I was familiar with the culture of United States or other countries, other foreign countries, and it's not so hard for me to understand what's going on here. The only problem that I have is that I cannot communicate with people so much. It's because of the language. English is not that much perfect to talk very well with others, and
But you're improving. You're improving.
make friends or make some communications here. I just have a few friends that I know here, but they're not a lot. And those friends are older than me. They're at the age of 40, 50, or 60. The people who came to our apartment to help us, and we're in contact. Somehow we're talking sometimes and like that. But I don't have friends at the age of myself, because the problem is with the language, and I'm trying to fix that as soon as possible. But right now, yeah, I'm trying to communicate with others. For example, I take my camera every weekend and go to some nice places and take portrait of people, asking them that, can I take a photo of you? And they're saying, yes, you can do. And I make some portraits, and they like it, and they want me to send them, and we're becoming friends on Instagram or WhatsApp or
That's
somehow.
nice.
Yeah.
Today, you tell me about the photographs you took today. You went to take pictures of the cherry blossoms down by the monuments?
Yeah, the monuments. I don't know that place, the name of that place, but the river around the river. Yeah,
At the tidal basin? Were you at the tidal basin?
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was there yesterday, and I took some portraits of people, some landscape photos, some photos of the monument or the Blinken monument.
Lincoln Memorial, yeah.
Blinken
Good.
Memorial.
Maybe you can share some of the photographs you took and we can post them along with this interview. It'd be nice to share some of
I
your art. Yeah.
I was nice photos.
I
Uh,
hope that you will be able to meet more young people through Montgomery College. I know that you met a few friends in the class you took with me.
right.
One thing I remember was that one of your classmates created a digital story and he mentioned you specifically in that story because he was talking about his feelings for the Hazara people in Afghanistan. And I think that a lot of Americans don't know anything or very little about the Hazara culture and this ethnic group in Afghanistan. And I was wondering, for those people who will watch this video, could you tell me a little bit about the Hazara community and the problems you have faced in Afghanistan? And I think in Iran as well, that there's been discrimination shown against people in your community. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Hazaras are an ethnic group in Afghanistan, and as you said, that one of our classmates mentioned me and talked about the Hazara people. He was talking about the Hazara genocide. There was a demonstration in Washington, D.C. and all over the world on October 8th last year. So, and that is true. There is this group of people in Afghanistan. They live in central of Afghanistan. Most of them live in central of Afghanistan, and they have been faced discrimination from a long time ago, and for the last decade, they have been killed by terrorist groups and other groups in Afghanistan. For a lot of time, there was attacks, targeted attacks against these people in mosque, in a school, in a street, in a hospital, and everywhere. And this group of people, I'm a Hazara, and I lived in Afghanistan for 2 decades. So the memories that I have from Afghanistan and the experiences I have, all I know is that this group of people has no right in Afghanistan. Others are trying to take them down from anything. For example, in the last 2 decades, they were not in the government. They were not in the high positions of the government or other companies. And those who live in Afghanistan, other than Hazaras, they have always showed us what do you say, ethnic? They always showed us that we are hated by them.
Oh, hatred.
Hatred, yeah.
I remember you created a beautiful digital story in my class after we went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And you mentioned that you identified with a piece of art in the exhibit related to discrimination against African American men in particular, young men. And I remember really being struck by your insight into what it feels like to be a member of an ethnic minority in a country where the power is held by a different group. And I was really struck by how you were able to make that connection so beautifully in your story. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like your experience at the museum or the parallels that you saw?
Yeah, we went to the exhibition Protest, Defiance, and Resilience, and there was a lot of piece of arts that connected me to my own experiences, because most of the arts there talks about the discriminations against the Black community in the United States.
Yes.
There was some digital piece of arts like photos of the demonstrations and protests, and I chose one of those digital image that was taken by, I don't remember, I always forget things.
That's okay. I can't remember either right now, but I can look it up. But you chose one of the photographs that was taken of a demonstration related to Black Lives Matter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Demonstration of Black Lives Matters, and it connected me to those demonstrations and protests that we had in Afghanistan, also in Washington DC. I covered one of the a big demonstration in Washington DC that more than, I think, 5,000 people participated in that demonstration. I covered that, and it was about the Hazara community, the group of Afghanistan who was targeted, who had been killed in Afghanistan in the last decades. I mean, targeted attacks against Hazaras. The protesters called to stop these kind of attacks against the Hazara community and protect the Hazara community in Afghanistan. So also there was other demonstrations in Afghanistan. For example, the biggest demonstrations in the history of Afghanistan was about the Hazara community. It was on 2016. It's called Jambish Roshnai Enlightenment Movement in English.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was the biggest demonstration in the history of Afghanistan. It was about the discrimination against Hazara. The government at that time how can I say it in English? They bought electricity from Uzbekistan, and they changed the way that it should have transferred to the Kabul. I mean, the electricity. The people who were the demonstrators were asking to transfer that electricity from central of Afghanistan. It was easier, it was shorter, but the government denied that. They chose another way that was longer, harder, and it was costing more money to transfer that electricity the way. And also, because in the central of Afghanistan, Hazara people, I said earlier that most of the Hazaras are living in central of Afghanistan.
Right.
That's why the government didn't transfer that electricity to Kabul and to Afghanistan in that way. They chose another way because they were discriminated. It was discrimination for the people. We realized that why the government should do this. We are a part of this country too. Hazaras are a part of this country too.
So it prevented people in the central part of Afghanistan from having access to electricity and power that would have made their lives easier.
Yeah, in central of Afghanistan, people does not have access to electricity. In the last interview that we had, I told you that right now it's the same, that people have 3 to 4 hours during the night, not during the day.
It's hard to even imagine that. Yeah.
So why others are afraid of Hazaras to be improved? If that electricity was transferred from central of Afghanistan, believe me, the Hazara people are educated people. They could use that electricity in a good way. But the government, the power who was held by others, it was the people who were in the top positions of the government, they denied that, especially the previous, the former president, Ashraf Ghani. He was
I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
he was the source of discrimination against Hazaras.
I think
President
one
of
thing that I remember about having you in class was that you were trying to adapt to a new life here. You were working 2 jobs. You were trying to do all your homework. And you also had in your mind what was happening to your family and to your community, and to your people. And I think a lot of people may not understand how hard it is to learn, to have enough energy and strength to take college classes when you have all these worries and all these really difficult experiences that you described. And I just want to acknowledge that. I think that a lot of people may not understand how hard it is to be a refugee and to be a college student at the same time. And I wanted to ask you if you were to give advice to a new student at Montgomery College who is just coming here from either Afghanistan or from any other country, dealing with all these issues, what advice would you give him or her?
A person who has a lot of problems, how can he give advices? If that advice could be helpful, why it's not helping me? So, but from my experience at Montgomery College, you know that I was good at the first, but what happened in later of the class in Afghanistan, I mean, what happened in Afghanistan at the educational center, it affected me a lot. And since I'm working in a news organization, and I'm watching videos and pictures and making video reports, that makes it much more harder.
Yeah, that's very hard to be seeing those images all the time.
Yeah, and after what happened in that educational center, I lost my strength completely, and I couldn't focus on my education and my class and the assignments. And
because there were students who were killed, right? At that time.
The same age to mine.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
let me ask you this. When things get really hard for you, what do you do to keep going? You mentioned photography and you mentioned being in nature. Are those 2 things that help you cope when you're having a really hard time?
After that class that I felt, I just thought that I should not keep like before. I mean, let's get my mind out of Afghanistan for a long time. At least I should graduate from any university when I could do something for those people. Right now I cannot do anything. So after that class, I'm trying to make some fun for me, going out, making photos, and trying to not think about Afghanistan and trying to not spend time on social media and reading news and watching videos. And whenever I'm coming to the office and making reports, I'm trying to keep myself, how can I say, to not think about what's going on in Afghanistan.
I think that what you said about constantly receiving news about violence and constantly being inundated with information from social media, I think this is something that has impacted people's mental health a lot. And I think that what you're talking about, getting away from this constant barrage of information, of negative news, I think it's a really important strategy to turn it off, to step away from it, to go outside on a beautiful day like today and go see the cherry blossoms. I mean, those are things that being able to appreciate beauty like that and make connections with other people, I think what you're doing is really important.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will start, and I will retake that English class again, and maybe in next semester.
I hope so. I hope so.
I should be ready, because I found that on that class that I'm not ready yet. I should be ready for.
I think, yeah, I think it takes a lot of energy to learn, a lot of focus.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make that environment for myself in my mind. I mean, I'm trying to make my mental health better, because most of the times during the week I have nightmares, and these days I'm trying to escape those nightmares and find a way to and have some happiness during the day to not have nightmares. So that's what I'm doing. And once I could be out of Afghanistan, could turn off those memories and experiences, and also the negative news that are coming out of Afghanistan, I will restart studying at Montgomery College, and this time I will be prepared to.
Can you tell me what your hopes are? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your hopes and dreams for the future?
To do at least something for the people in Afghanistan. I mean, change even a small thing. If I could change a small thing, that's a lot for me. If I could change it, for example, if I could knock out the discrimination against the Hazara people or other people in Afghanistan, that's not a small thing. That's a lot. But if I could, I will do that. Maybe my major for the undergraduate is journalism, but for master degree or the PhD, I might choose a different major and I will study something different. Right now, I cannot decide what to be in the future, because everything is changing every day, and I should keep going with what is going on with the situation, keep updating myself. So
Technology has changed a lot, and journalism has changed a lot over the past few years, the past few decades, that's for sure. I love what you said about trying to help people back in Afghanistan, and I liked what you had to say too about thinking about your future and your education. We started this conversation talking about books and how they impacted us. can you imagine perhaps writing books in the future? Do you see yourself maybe writing a novel?
Mm, that's why I chose to be a journalist. I mean, my undergraduate degree is gonna to be in journalism, and I want to learn as much as I could in writing stories of the people, stories of the society, stories of my own experience. I mean, writing my own experience and the experience of the people and all other stories that are coming out of Afghanistan. That maybe one day I will write a novel or literature. I don't know. I don't know. Because writing a novel needs a lot of knowledge, needs a lot of a good literature. So if I could have that literature, I will write, yeah. Because there are a lot of stories that needs to be shared with others around the world.
Yes.
For example, students of Montgomery College, one day they will be interested to read about Afghanistan and to know about Afghanistan. And what if I could give that opportunity to them and give them the stories that they need? That would be a great job for me to do.
This conversation may help people better understand the situation in Afghanistan a little bit, or spark their interest perhaps in knowing more. How do you feel about talking today? What emotions are you experiencing now?
It was hard for me to talk about all those experiences that I talked here. Right now, I was feeling good, but right now I don't feel good. I need to spend some time outside, and my mind is now heavy. My heart is heavy, but
I hope you can go outside and enjoy the sunshine today. And
first, I already before the interview, before this talk, I called my friends that came here. We will go out and spend some time, because I knew that it will be hard for me to talk about some of the experiences.
Spending time with friends is so important. It's really important to carve out time for that.
My friend is gonna come on at 6 p.m. So we're going out.
Good. What are you guys gonna do tonight?
Nothing special. My brothers are in a vacation. They went outside. I don't know where they have gone. All of them. Only me. I'm here.
Only you left.
They left me behind. But there are friends here. Maybe we will have dinner together or something like that. Or maybe I'll alone at home and playing video games or editing the photos that I took yesterday and posting them on Instagram. So I will be busy.
Those sound like good activities to do later today. Is there anything else that you would like to, we're just about out of time, but we have a few more minutes. Is there anything you would like to add about your experience at Montgomery College, or your experience here in Silver Spring, Maryland, your thoughts about living here and how your life has changed?
Thanks to all those people who helped me here, especially Kim Makarin, who find the job at Cultural Arts Center for me, and also made a scholarship at Montgomery College for me to study. I'm sorry for failing that class, but I will restart the classes. I was not prepared, but thanks to her and also all those people, thanks to you, it is good to live here with the Montgomery County, with the people here. Maybe I cannot communicate with all of the community, all of the people here yet, but I will make it happen one day. It's very
I'm
nice to.
glad that you mentioned Kim McGettigan. She does a lot to help students, and I think she cares very deeply about all the students at Montgomery College, but especially about the Afghan community. So I'm really glad that you mentioned her. She does a lot of really important work at MC.
She's so lovely. I love her so much. Believe me, she's very nice, and she helped me a lot. Like, I don't know whom else she helped, but she helped me a lot, and other me and my brothers as well.
I will be
And
sure to make sure that she gets a chance to watch this conversation. I know it'll mean a lot to her to hear you say that. And I hope that as time passes, that Silver Spring becomes a home here for you, that you feel like you're part of our community and that you can rebuild a new life here.
thank you so much. I hope what my family could come here too, because I they're the only things that I don't have here. I have a good community. The people are nice. The city is nice, and I hope we could get my parents and other family members here too, and they could see the beauty of the city and the people and the nice people. Yeah.
I
Thank
hope
you.
so too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Taqi.
Thank you.